Hi, have you ever wondered what truly makes a civilization great? Is it tall buildings? Is it technology? Is it wealth? Or is it something deeper? Do you know true civilization does not begin with cities? It begins with values. It begins in a family. It begins in how we treat each other. It begins in how we live with nature. Tell me honestly, when you were a child, did you ever sit with your grandparents and listen to stories? Did you ever feel that sense of warmth, safety, and belongingness? That is civilization. Thousands of years ago, on this very land we call Bharat, our ancestors were not trying to conquer the world. They were trying to understand life. They were not chasing domination. They were seeking harmony. Harmony with nature, harmony with family, harmony with themselves. This series is not just about history, it's about rediscovering who we truly are, not as dates and facts, but as living wisdom. And today we begin at the very roots. Before we enter the early Vedic world, before we meet the kings, the warriors, the rishis, let me ask you a very simple question. Have you ever wondered why our country is called Bharat? We say it so naturally, don't we? But have we ever paused and asked why Bharat? Do you know, a name is never just a name. A name carries memory. A name carries blessings. A name carries identity. Bharat is not just geography, Bharat is an emotion. When you say Bharat, you are not just naming a land, you are remembering a civilization. And do you know where the story begins? Not in a palace, not in a city, but in a forest. Shall we go there together? Deep in a peaceful forest, far away from noise, far away from power, stood the ashram of sage Kanva. Have you ever visited an ashram? Have you noticed the silence there, the calmness? That is where Shakuntala lived. She was not raised in luxury. She was raised in simplicity. She grew up listening to birds, walking beside rivers, learning from sages. Her heart was pure. One day, King Dushyanta entered the forest. Now let me ask you something. Have you noticed how life sometimes brings people together unexpectedly? This was one such moment. They met, they spoke, they understood each other, there was respect, there was dignity. They married through Gandharva tradition, a marriage based not on force but on mutual trust. But life tests everyone, doesn't it? Due to a sage's curse, Dushyanta forgot her. Imagine that pain. Imagine Shakuntala walking into the palace holding her child and not being recognized. Have you ever felt misunderstood? Have you ever felt unseen? Yet Shakuntala did not lose her dignity. She did not beg, she did not curse, she just remained strong. Because truth does not need to shout, truth waits, and truth always reveals itself. One day, King Dushyanta returned to the forest, and there he saw something unforgettable. A small boy fearlessly playing with lion cubs. Tell me honestly, how many children today would go near a lion cub without fear? This child was not ordinary. The king asked him, "Who are you?" The boy replied calmly, "I am Bharata." In that moment, the king recognized his son not by appearance but by courage. This Bharata grew into a great ruler. He protected his people, he upheld dharma, he united lands, and in his honor, this land came to be called Bharatavarsha. Now let me ask you something. Every time you say Bharat, have you realized you're carrying the memory of that courageous child? You're carrying his legacy. You're part of that story. Now, let me ask you something. Have you ever wondered the rivers mentioned in the Rig Veda? Do they still exist today or have they disappeared completely? Do you know many of these rivers are still flowing, still nurturing life, still silently carrying the memory of our ancestors? The Vedic people called their land as Sapta Sindhu, the land of sacred rivers, seven sacred rivers. But today, we know these rivers by different names. Let us discover them one by one, not as mere geography but as living history. In the Rig Veda, the most powerful river was called Sindhu. Do you know the very name India comes from Sindhu? Today we call it the Indus River. It flows through Tibet, Ladakh, and Pakistan, and finally into the Arabian Sea. Imagine thousands of years ago, Vedic chants rose in its banks. Even today, it continues its journey as a silent witness to history. Now, let me ask you something fascinating. Have you heard of a river that disappeared? The Rig Veda describes Saraswati as a mighty river, wide, powerful, and sacred. Today, Saraswati does not flow visibly like before. Scholars believe it flowed through present day Haryana, Rajasthan, and Gujarat. Today, its dry riverbeds are identified with the Khakar Hakra river system. Can you imagine a river so sacred that even after disappearing, it continues to live in our prayers? This tells us Bharat remembers. The Vedic name Vipasha is today called the Beas River. It flows through Himachal Pradesh and Punjab. Even today, farmers depend on its waters. Life continues, just as it did thousands of years ago. In Vedic times, the rivers Sutudri, today we know it as the Satluj River. It flows from Tibet through Himachal Pradesh and Punjab. Have you noticed how names change but the river continues, just like our civilization? The Vedic river Parushni is today's Ravi River. It flows through Himachal Pradesh and Punjab. This river witnessed ancient battles, prayers, and settlements. Even today, it flows carrying those memories. Vitasta is known today as the Jhelum River. It flows through Kashmir. Have you seen the beauty of Kashmir? Those same waters nourished early Vedic life. Nature has remained faithful to Bharat. Kubha is today called the Kabul River. It flows through Afghanistan and joins the Indus. This shows something very important. Vedic civilization was not limited to modern political boundaries or borders. It was vast, connected, and expansive. Moment and think. These rivers are not gone, they are still flowing, still nurturing, still blessing this land. Have you ever stood near a river and felt peace without knowing why? Perhaps it is because these rivers carry memory. Memory of our rishis, memory of chants, memory of Bharat's earliest heartbeat. Saptasindhu was not just a place, it was a cradle of a civilization. And even today, that civilization flows within us. These rivers gave life. Children played there, families lived there, rishis meditated there. Nature was not something to conquer, nature was something to respect. Let me ask you honestly, have we forgotten this today? Do we still see rivers as mothers or only as resources? This is why understanding Vedic civilization is important. It reminds us we are not separate from nature, we are part of it. In the early Vedic period, families lived together. Grandparents, parents, uncles, aunts, children. They shared work, food, rituals, and festivals. This system created emotional security, shared responsibility, collective joy, deep bonds. values passed from one generation to another. Children grew up watching how elders resolved conflicts, how they shared food, how they respected each other, how they cared for the sick, how festivals brought everyone together. This is why the children of Bharat naturally learned patience, adjustment, compassion, cooperation, humility, and gratitude. Let me share with you a beautiful Sanskrit truth that our ancestors lived by.
सुदृढं कुलमेव स्यात् सुदृढस्य राष्ट्रस्य मूलकम् यत्र प्रेम च संस्कारश्च तत्र राष्ट्रं भविष्यति बलवान् तत्र राष्ट्रं भविष्यति बलवान्.
Do you know what this means? A strong family is the very foundation of a strong nation, where love, values, and good conduct exist. That nation becomes powerful and prosperous. Now pause and reflect. Every strong nation, every great nation was first built not in parliaments, but in families. And this is why Bharat endured through invasions, through changes, through centuries. Because its foundation was never power, its foundation was family and values. So today, we have not just learned history, we have remembered who we are. We have remembered Bharata, the child whose courage named a civilization. We have remembered the rivers that nurtured not just land but consciousness. We have remembered the family, the sacred space where values were born and passed on. And perhaps somewhere within we have remembered a part of ourselves. In the next episode, we will continue this journey in this Vedic civilization series part 2. We will explore deeper into early Vedic life, their daily routines, their wisdom, their connection with nature, and the foundations they laid for the Bharat we live in today. Until then, reflect on this question. Are we becoming modern? Or are we forgetting something ancient and precious? Because Bharat was never just a land, it was and always will be a way of life. I am Deepthi Shankaravariyar, a teacher, an artist, and a lifelong learner. If this journey touched your heart, subscribe to Invincible Bharatam and help more hearts reconnect with the soul of our glorious civilization. Let us meet next time with Vedic Civilization Series Part 2. Until then, Namaste.